Alrighty folks, don't crash on me again tonight. Not tonight. We want it to be live and we want it to work, so welcome to the show. I was almost ready. Almost ready on time, but I forgot to get my drink ready, so I'm going to get my drink ready. How many people we got watching? Don't feel free to... That's hissing at me. Feel free to jump in on the chat and say hello. Ooh. And that's going to fizz up, so that's going to have to wait a minute. But don't feel free to like and share the video. If you're watching along, thank you very much. And if you cast your attention up here, I would like to give a quick shout out to my tier 3 and above Patreons. And that would be Reese, and that would be Tim and Wayne as well. Thank you very much. This stream happens because of those people, and if you want to help as well, feel free, have a look in the video description. You'll find all of my social media links that you can peruse at your leisure, and also occasionally in the chat they'll pop up as well, so feel free to join those. And we're going to finish off the attack bike. We're going to get that all finished up tonight, and we're also going to be starting a brand new project. Although I do realise that there is going to be a little bit of a thing that carries on throughout these shows, is from one project to the next. When one project finishes and I start the next, the in-between show, when I finish one and start the other at the same time, those shows may be a little bit slower than normal, or they might be longer perhaps, but we'll have to see how they go. Just filling that up, there we go. I realised at the end of my show on Tuesday with Reese at Chick Paints from Instagram, I realised I had such a sore throat because we've been trying to talk for about 4 hours solidly, and then by the end of that I had such a sore throat. So I got my drink. Like I said, I was almost ready. Putting kids to bed can be a bit of a nightmare, especially when the missus is at work. Right, attack bike. And I'm going to leave, if you haven't already seen what the new project's going to be, I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a surprise. But I would like to just point out my viewer models that swing along here. Feel free to post your models that you've painted on your various social media using the hashtag BofOPSLive if it's just a standard model like that one just was there. But if it's a conquest model like most of these are at the minute, feel free to use BofOPS Conquest, and I'll pop that up on the screen as well, which is that BofOPS Conquest. And if it's a Conquest magazine, because obviously I do my weekly Monday show with Conquest magazine, and I figured we'll have a chat. This keeps getting in the way, so let's move that a little bit. Yeah, I like having, you know, we do my Conquest show, and if you've got Conquest magazines and you're doing so on, feel free, pop them in the chat as well, or not in the chat, sorry, on social media. Let me know you've done it. If you've done it on Instagram though, I can't save the image and put it here. So you'd have to, if you want to, put it on my Facebook page. Post your pictures there. You know, you can do it on Instagram as well, which is where these guys have done it. They've got their Instagram handle. And so I can keep an eye on all of that. And so that you can get your credit that I dish out. And yeah, so, you know, have your model, have your thing on stream. So we get on with the show. Wayne's already been in the chat, saying he's going to be in about 15 minutes, and I'm going to get on with doing yeah, so this guy. So let's move that over here, and we got absolutely terrible terrible focus going on there, so we're just going to change that a little bit, I think. Let's get rid of that, and there we go, bring that into focus, which is much better. And what's going on here? There we go. There we are. That's working. Right. Right. One thing I have also forgot to mention is this has gone up. That's gone up ever so slightly. We are aiming for a new computer so that we can have a much more stable stream, and also all the gibbons that I used to have and stuff. This computer is pretty much maxed out. So let's get cracking on. I've done all my chatting and done all my talking, so we're going to get cracking on. You may remember a couple of weeks ago I hard coated, or my version of hard coat, the areas where I wanted to put transfers. I can move this guy's body out of the way for a minute. Put transfers down, and also on this guy. I didn't do the chapter logo like I said I was going to do during the week. Good evening, Tim. Thank you very much for joining me. So yeah, I put the hard coat down a couple of weeks ago, ready for the transfers. Last week I did the transfers, and I mentioned that we were going to flatten these down. We had a little bit of an issue with this. I wasn't being careful while I was putting them away, and I folded the let's bring the focus back into play. You'll have to cast your mind back a bit. Let's get that moved over there, and we can really bring this guy into focus here. Where is he going? There he is. There we go. Right, okay, so let's bring this into focus here. You can see I had a bit of a fold going on here, which was a little bit of a pain in the butt. But if I bring up this one here, get that where it needs to be. It's wrinkled a little bit, but you can see that the it has flattened itself to the surface of the model, and that is literally, like I said last week, that is purely just adding the microsole, and it has hugged the surface. It's crinkled up a little bit. It's a pretty bad example of how this stuff really works, but then again, trying to do it on stream is a bit difficult to get it right. But yeah, it does. The microsole works. And so what I'm going to do this show, to finish this model off, let's bring that bag into focus. No, that's not focusing at all, is it? Is I'm going to mat those down. I'm going to finish those transfers, and then we're going to mat it all down, and then this thing's finished. We're going to glue it together, and by the end of the show this will be finished, and during the show I will start the brand new model. If I want, I can add the picture I sent me earlier. Oh, okay, brilliant, Rainer. Tim, I will do. And welcome, Wayne. So, here we go. So, we got this guy to finish. So, what we need to do first is I need to come over here. I'm off camera a bit, but I need to find... Yeah, here we go. My large version of hard coat, which is my gloss medium. So once you put this gloss medium on, you are locked in with your transfers, so you want to make sure that you're absolutely happy with your transfers before you put this stuff on. And I have glued that lid shut, so I'm going to have to use my palette. So yeah, once you're happy where your transfer is, and you're happy with the microsole job that you've done, or as happy as you're going to be, you can put your gloss medium on. But once you've done that, you've locked it into place and you'll never move it again. So, and like I said from last week, if you remember, you make sure that absolutely every single layer is dry before you do the next one. And the simple reason for that is, especially when you're doing your the gloss coat over the top, or putting the transfer in after putting the gloss coat on first, if it's not 100% dry, the gloss coat will go really cloudy and it looks horrible, because the solvent will mix with the medium, and it just makes it look absolutely terrible. And basically this layer is purely just a case of just to protect the transfer. Once it's in place and you're happy where it is, you put another gloss coat over the top, acts as a varnish, and just locks it into place. And don't forget, even though I did only the transfer up here, I went right around the entire surface up until the brush came up against a barrier, and that just lets me know where I did all of the glossing. And yet, where you don't remember, this was like 2 weeks ago that I was painting this for the first time, and because I do it that way, I can still remember where it was I put the varnish or the gloss down. And we're going to put that away to one side to dry. There's not really much else to do for that until the gloss is dry, which means it is time, nice and early in the show, to start a brand new project. Now, my Patreons, who are pretty much in the chat, will probably already know what this new project is, if I haven't already told you. But for those of you who don't know, it is a white basket, a white box. But if you can see at the bottom there, Chapter Master Gabriel Seth of the Flesh Terrors. And it's a resin model, which is not brilliant, and you may end up seeing me slicing my thumb open before the end of the show. But maybe that'll help my viewers go up, you know, when I start slicing my hands open live on stream. But it's fine, I've got some super glue lying around, so we should be able to deal with that alright. And I need to find myself a knife. I've lost my brand new knife. Do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I think now, I did a trip out to go and get some supplies and go and get some stuff, and I bought myself a brand new nice big chunky white knife, and then a few days later I lost it again. So that was fun. Okie dokie, so we're going to get this bad boy opened up. So this show is going to pretty much be a case of how do you deal with resin models. Some of you may or may not know how to deal with resin. First things first, I will not have this built by the end of the show. That will be a guarantee, because rule number one when working with resin is you need to wash it first, because there'll be a release agent on the resin which will then cause paint not to stick onto it, and I am going to assume that that works for super glue as well. So the model won't be built by the end of the show. Unfortunately, yes, it is fine cast, or fail cast as most of us like to call it. It is a resin model, but unfortunately, as we were discussing a couple of weeks ago, this show is going to be more character driven. So most of the characters are going to be in fine cast, unfortunately. But we're going to get on with these. So we're going to have to clip this guy off. We're going to clean him up, get rid of all of the mold lines and everything. Look at that. How many of those do they really need to add to that model? One to every single tooth of his massive, great big chainsword. So, yes. So we're going to clean this guy up. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's too much release agent on it, but you know, we're going to clean him up. We're going to make him up looking real nice, and then we can start painting him next week. Yeah, because I'll glue him together during the weeks, because there's no point in you sitting there watching me glue him together. Alright. However, one thing I would like to ask in the chat, he comes with a 25mm base, and it's a 25mm slotter base, because that gets slotted into there. I don't like 25mm bases for a start, and I'm not really a fan of slotter bases. So, in the chat tonight, I am going to put up a little thing on the screen to remind anybody that comes along. Let me find out, where can I put text in the chat, and I'm going to write in this in the chat. Tell me what kind of base I should put Seth on. Now, what I mean by that is what style of base. So actually I should change the word kind into style. There we go. Let's get the right grammar in there by capitalizing the I. And let's yeah, we'll leave it as that. There we go. So let me move this so that you can all read it. There we go. This is so professional, isn't it? It's brilliant. How big can we get it? Oh, it's not quite. There we go. I think that will work. There we go. In the chat, tell me what style of base I should put Seth on. I saw a Titan video from Spiky Bits, and the Titan was resin. Nothing, absolutely nothing fitted together. Yeah, all the Titans are resin from Forge World, because yeah, they're Forge World. It's all they use. Why don't you like slotted bases? Can't do much with them. Especially the fact that it's because obviously if I want to do anything special with it, I'll have to cut the slot with it. I'll have to cut the slot off anyway if I want to build a cork base for him, for argument's sake. And also it's a 25mm base. So if I've got a if I'm going to put him on a 32mm base in the first place, which I have one up knocking around somewhere spare, which is here. I've got a spare 32mm base. I can cut the tab off the bottom, put him on a 32, and that also gives me some artistic freedom to go with it. So you spend £1,300 on something that doesn't fit together. Well, the thing is with Forge World is they do say that they are for the advanced modeler, but yeah, there's a whole discussion about whether it should actually fit together if you're paying that much money for. A round one. Well, thank you. A round one. What Wayne says. No, thank you very much. Green stuff to slot. No, the thing is, I don't like the 25mm base in the first place. But the thing is, it's also a case of I want to give a bit of audience participation. Do a cork base. Do you mean something like that, Tim? Does that mean there's going to be a video about how to do cork bases sometime soon? Sneak peek. Ooh, should I do a cork base? Cover it in blood. Yeah, that's the thing. I could do it. I did do once, actually. Do I still have him knocking around? Where is he? Where did I put my... There he is. My slaughter priest that I got from when White Dwarf came out. This was done a little while ago. And it's a bit dusty as well. But I absolutely covered this thing in blood, just for the hell of it. So yeah, maybe I should do something like that. Maybe I should do a cork base, but we'll figure that out during the course of the show. If people want to tell me, then fair enough. Fair enough. I have no idea, as I've only ever based my minis with Flock. I'm still trying to work out how to base my Death Guard and Primaris Marine army. Alright, fair enough. When do we get the basing video? Right, I tell you what, right, here's a little thing. Right, hang on a minute, because I'm not doing any work here and I'm just talking to the chat. Right, the problem is with the videos. I have got a ton of videos already filmed. Right, I've got an entire Imperial Fist model filmed. I have got the start of a Skitari Ranger filmed. I have done the cork base, that's filmed. I've got a kitty litter and a sandy base already started. and I'm about to film. I've already started filming a snow bass. Now you can't really see much on that because it's all white. Not the rock bit, because that will be something else altogether. I have so many basses and models ready to do, and I am filming them as I go along. The problem is editing them together, because while I'm using the computer to edit, I'm not painting, because I can't concentrate on two at the same time. So, and that is why I had to cut the videos back to once a week. And obviously you Patreons already see the videos early, so so there's that. Will made a nice and easy bass for the Death Guard. Yes, I did. If you've already seen, what did I do? I used Sterling Mud and Nurgle's Rot. The video is on in the channel. I think it's a basing playlist, I think it is. So have a look at the playlist. You should be able to find Basing Your Miniatures playlist or something like that. The Death Guard one is currently the only one that's finished. But yeah, that is on there. And did I do a Crackled Earth one as well? Did I do an Agrellan Earth bass? I can't remember how many basses are in that playlist. But I think I did one for Agrellan Earth. Yeah, using Agrellan Earth as well. I can't quite remember that one. So yeah. You might have already seen it. Yeah, it was just Sterling Muds and just using what's it? Let me find. Grab this guy. Let's bring him up to the camera. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. So it was just Sterling Mud, bit of dry brushing. I think it was Tyrant Skull, and some Nurgle's Rot just to make it grimy, and that was it. Not on video, I think, on this show. No, I definitely did a video for Death Guard. Actually, I've done a video for both of these two basses here. Whoops, there we go. Those two are the basses that I've done on the videos. So you should be able to see a video how to do this one that I use for my Blood Angels, and this one is the one I use for my Death Guard. And then I also finished these guys today, and that one is even easier. No word of a lie, that is Astro Granic Debris, Agrax Earthshade, and Tyrant Skull as a dry brush, and that was it. Can I please help you make a base for my model? I can show you how to do your bases, Lexi, but you're going to have to do it yourself, because that's the way you learn. Yep. So yeah, I've done bases for those two, and I've got lots of bases to do. So yeah, I'm currently filming a snow base. I've got some ideas that I want to do for ice. And I've got some other ideas. I've got a new commissions coming in where I'll be doing an industrial style base. So there are lots and lots of them. But the thing is, like I said, it's easy to film, because at the end of the day, I do what I'm doing here. I've just got the camera, I press record, and I paint. It's as simple as that. So filming is no problem. It's editing them together. So that's the biggest problem. So I think a 30 rock like base, yeah, I think that probably would be good, because I can throw some blood all over it while we're going through the series of these Gabriel Seth videos. But we'll see what happens. But while we're at it, let's get on with some clipping. So I'm going to start clipping this guy off. You can still feel free to throw in the chat. And like I said, it's this video where it gets decided what I'm going to put on, what kind of a base I'm going to put on him. So let let me just see if I can get this to look a little bit more standouty, because you can't really read it. Let's put my usual impact. Bam! Look at that. There we go. Outline. Let's put the outline in red. There we go. And let's put a drop shadow on there as well. That way you really can see it, can't you? There we go. That'll do nicely. There we go. I am off and on because I have to bake a cake. And you know what? That used to be my hobby before I started doing this sort of stuff. I used to be a cake maker, but I never got any orders, so I stopped doing it. That was going to be a business idea of mine, but nobody ever bothered buying orders, and then I slowly lost interest in making cake. Right, let's clip this off. Now, if you never worked with resin before, just be careful of these gates. They can be particularly thick and in some really weird places, so you gotta be careful you're not clipping the model. Put my depth guard on 30. Well, they're 32mm bases, aren't they? If they're finished. They come on 32s, don't they? The depth guard. She can't remember the name of it. Right, hang on a minute. Where is he? Let's have a look. There he is. So, obviously, if none of you know, Alexi is my daughter. And so she wanted to paint this, and she's 9, 10, something like that. Hang on, what year is it? She's 10. Oh dear, that's terrible. Oh dear. So this is her first model, and she was asking for some help, and so I pointed her, let's bring this into focus nicely so we can all see a really nice job of this. Let's bring up the focus. It takes me so long to focus this camera because I absolutely hate the autofocus on this. So where can we put this so you can see it? Here we go. And we put it into focus here. Ah, you don't want to use the Easy Build Conquest models. That's fair enough, yeah. Let's get it into focus. There we go. So Alexis even tried doing some freehand on there, which I think she's done some really nice straight lines going on there. And this is her first attempt at a Primaris Sergeant. So there we go. And she used a Demonette hide for the armour, which I think she's done a really good job on that. Took some inspiration from my Blood Angels, as that's what the shoulder pads are doing there. And she's been watching my videos as she goes along doing it. Yep, my 10-year-old did this. It does help that she does have a commission painter as a father. So she doesn't have to go through the rigmarole of learning how to thin her paints, because that was rule number 1 that I taught her. So there we go. And she felt that a gold gun would go well with the metallic purple armor that she's got going on, and I think it's a really good shout, to be honest. Alexis Space Wolves for the win. It does kind of look, I think it kind of does look kind of Space Wolfy. I'm going to switch my hobby. I'm out. Not going to do it anymore. You've got some competition, Tim. There we go. Alright. So I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, so she's got a base left to go. And if she wants to decide what kind of base she wants, and then I'll teach her how to do it. Unfortunately for you guys, Lexi does get a pretty much live tutorials, as opposed to waiting for me to actually finish editing videos before she can get to see them. Right, how the blue blazers am I going to get through all of this? I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down there and across here. Look at the state of this. This is ridiculous. Right. Absolute nightmare. Look at this. Ah, resin. Right. Just clip it off the frame. I'm completely far away from there. Alexis is the next generation for base of operations. Do you hear this? Are you trying to replace me already? Cool. Right, so that's everything off of there. So now we need to have a look at how this guy comes together. So, resin models, if you don't already know, you've got to be careful. You got to get rid of the flashing, but you do have to be careful that you're not going to start chopping bits off the model. So always double check before you clip anything off. Just double check that it's not supposed to be there, that you're not clipping off some massive purity seal or something. We'll clean up mold lines and stuff at the minute. I'm just looking for the really big stuff. He's thinking of the future. Fair enough, I'll let you off. Give it a year and you'll be telling Will what to do, and he will ask you when his commissions will be done. Well, I'm going to outsource the commission work. Right. Right, so we've got some cleaning up to do. Look at the state of this. Look at this. This is terrible. Man, I could brush my hair with that. Right, so we're going to go along and clipping off up to the teeth. Clipping those off. Now, word of warning. Now, some of you may already know this, some of you won't. There won't be much of it being done now, but if you're ever sanding or filing resin, wear a mask. Resin dust is toxic. It's one of the very few parts of this hobby that is dangerous, and resin dust is toxic. So if you ever file or sand resin down, and I did say this when I did the Death Company Dreadnought, and it's why I believe I wet the model or wet the sandpaper before I used it to reduce the amount of dust. Yeah, resin dust is toxic, and yeah, you don't want to be breathing that stuff in. Okie dokie, and now what we've got is trouble is it's white stuff, so you can't really see. You see, this is supposed to be toothed, and this is the sort of thing you've got to be careful when the mold goes together. Some of the resin leaks between the molds and it causes this flashing, which we need to get rid of. So we're going to cut that out, get rid of this extra stuff. Tell you what, Tim, give it a year and I'd like to be in a new purpose-built studio rather than my dining room. That would be nice. That's going back to that video I made a little while ago about what I want to do for the future. Once we got the new computer up and running, I don't think that there's really going to be much need for much else until we can move into a new studio. Oh man, I've just noticed something here. Okay, right, we gotta be careful here. Look at this. Right, I'm gonna have to bring this right up into focus here. Can we see? How close can I get? How close do I need to get here? Let's get this. Look at this. Look at that. I didn't cut that. Those are the teeth for this model. Look at that, see? And it is split. The resin has split right down the middle. I'm going to have a think about that, because that is no good. Because if I remove any of that, keep that into focus, If I remove one side or the other, it's going to make it look off, even at that size. So that is going to be a real pain. Can I turn this light off, because you really can't see a lot? That might help actually a little bit. Yeah, that's like a crack or split right down in there. And unfortunately plastic glue won't help with that, because plastic glue doesn't work on resin. And I don't think I can get any green stuff in there to keep that nice and smooth. I might have to try and get some super glue in there and then file the super glue back. But I'm not sure I can fit super glue in such a small gap either. I'm going to have a think about that. That is a real pain. Right, so we'll make sure we got the rest of it cleaned up anyway. You don't really get many mold lines on resin, but you do get a lot of flashing that you have to go and find. And it's getting rid of this stuff that I end up slicing my hands open. So just clean it all off. Like I said, try not to get any of this stuff in your lungs. And also, let me just show you up here as well. Let's bring this up here. Oh goodness gracious me, clean your nails. Right, there we go. You see those just in here between his arm and the shoulder pad. I'm trying to get the right. Which way am I trying to turn this? Oh, there's a bubble there, look at that, I hadn't noticed that. And then between his arm and the shoulder pad there, those blocks, they're going to need coming out. They're a nightmare as well. They're tiny, but once you start painting these models up, you really start noticing those sorts of details. So get the clippers in there, try and clip them out best as I can. Then try and get the knife in there. Watch my fingers. Trouble with resin, it likes to bite the knife. It's really soft material, but it'll bite and then all of a sudden let go. Yeah, I've tried using a knife safely, Wayne, but the problem is whenever I actually try and do that, I always find that I can't actually see what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, we're alright. We got it. There we are. So we got that, and then we'll just clean off anything out. The bubble that's in there, which I saw is going to have to wait until it's clean. If you don't already know, soap and water will clean resin easy enough, but I actually have an ultrasonic cleaner which has got soap and water in it. That'll make life easier for me. I'll just sit there and go in an ultrasonic cleaner for a couple of cycles, but other than that, just some dish soap, a bit of water and an old toothbrush. Just cleans it up a bit. So clean this guy up. And don't forget, we're still just waiting for the gloss medium to dry on the attack bite, so we will get that finished tonight. We'll get back to that in just a few moments while I finish cleaning this guy up. skull doesn't look too great. And that skull is terribly cast. Let me just clean off this little strip here. I think there might have been a bubble in this. Look at this. You remember when I was doing the Imperial Death Lord and I said this was amazing? Look at the state of that. Where am I going there? This skull. Oh, for goodness sake, I'm trying to get it into the right position. Look at the state of that skull. I'll try and clean that, paint that. Hang on, what am I looking at? There. Look at that. How terribly that is cast. Show you the front of it. Look at that. Dreadful. You see even more bubbles on his hands. You see all of that? It is absolutely a nightmare. This is why people don't like Forge World resin. Not Forge World resin, sorry, GW resin. And to be fair, Forge World isn't much better. It's a nightmare stuff. It really is. Awful. We'll see how this guy looks when we're done though. I'm sure I can do a reasonable job at painting him up and hide some of the smaller sins, as it were. But yeah, that is some awful stuff going on there. I've always said I'm curious as to Games Workshop's quality control. There we go, look, you can even see on this, look at this. I am fairly certain that that is actually supposed to be a straight line. The handle's warped and so is the blade. Which isn't going to be too difficult, a bit of heat on that will sort that out, get me hairdryer out and that'll be alright. But still, we got some more of those god awful flashing tube things, run on tubes or whatever they are, on the back of that hand. I think the biggest problem with GW though is that when they paint the models for what the model is you're going to get, they use the master mold. I'm sure they do. They use the first one out of the run and give it to the heavy metal team to say, here guys, paint this up, make it look really nice. Then they make everybody else's and the mold just degrades from there. And I think I heard somebody say once that they actually used the old metal, the molds that they used to use for the metal models, and they just swapped them out for the fine cast stuff. And that's why their fine cast is just terrible, because the molds that they use are not designed for resin, they're designed for, you know, white metal. All of those lines now, you all know all those lines that would go into every single one of those teeth along here? They've just really changed the shape of the tooth, and I really don't think there's any way of tidying that up, not without running the risk of chopping the teeth off. Hi Dale, welcome to the show. Fine cast is why I benched my Necron army years ago. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It could be a real pain especially like with this. You know, I'm trying to, you know, those teeth are now the wrong shape. I mean, at a distance you'll be fine, but I was kind of hoping that this Thursday night show, with it becoming more of a character focused show, I would actually start planning to use better techniques and really make some real quality looking products, especially when we start going into, you know, I might keep this Gabriel Seth because he's a flesh terror and I've got a Blood Angels army, but when I start doing models for the viewers that they want, and say for argument's sake somebody who asks for, you know, on the shortlist is a, I don't know, a Harlequin model, I've got no use for it, so I'd give it away. But I want to give a really good, make a really good quality model. You can't really do that if your teeth are the wrong shape. So I'm going to get rid of these flashing bits. Every special I bought was awful. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And I've always felt that GW's quality control, well, is non-existent. So, you know, whenever they come up with a really terrible model, they really don't know anything about it. They don't check. I wish GW kept white metal. Well, unfortunately I have absolutely nothing to say on that because I don't know anything about white metal years, to be fair. I've painted 3 metal models in the time that I've been painting, and I started painting another one and never actually finished it. When I was going through my Blood Angels suck, so I'll try Orc phase, it never really kicked off because yeah, Blood Angels got good again. You see, this is where I end up slicing my hand open when I'm trying to clean this down. Maybe I'll donate some extra money for a model. I wouldn't necessarily say that way, Tim. You know, I've got some models to do, and I've got some things that I need doing. What's more important right now for the channel is the new computer. But you know, the way you support the channel is up to you. I wouldn't turn support away for sure, but I would say that, you know, the new computer is more important. I even bought a Cryptek when I was last at Warhammer World in hopes that they'd cherry pick the better ones. Still the same. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why GW have probably got, one of the reasons why they probably have the best customer services in the world, is because they know that their quality is terrible. Well, for the resin, I mean, their plastic is brilliant. I don't have any problem with any of their plastic models, even some of their older ones. When it starts to look a bit dated, you know, at least it's in good quality. And that the problems that you get with plastic are few and far between, and they're quite happy to replace anything that is dodgy. But you know, considering their resin is so terrible, you'd have thought that they might try and, you know, fix it, but they don't seem to really be too fussed about that, and just would much rather just replace anything. All it takes is somebody just to keep an eye on it. By the way, why are you not wearing a mask? Dust mask, this resin is crap. Because otherwise the stream would sound a bit like this. And this would be a really boring show. That's why. But on the upside, the thing is as well is that I'm not actually creating any dust, and it's the resin dust that's the real issue. The bits of resin that I'm cutting off are in chunks, and they're falling straight to my desk down here. and then when I'm done I'll get a wet rag and I'll clean it up. But yes, if you are working with resin, you should wear a dust mask. But I'll put my body at risk for all of you viewers. I do stupid things so you don't have to. Well, I do try. I don't want to be serious all the time, do I, Lexi? Because a serious show would be a boring show too. They put these kind of runoffs in such weird places, and I realise it's really difficult to see on this. I've already turned one light off to reduce the amount of glare off this white resin, or really light grey resin. But you still can't see what I'm doing. I won't get something from that stuff, don't you worry. I learned from a shaman monk actually somewhere to stop breathing, so it'll be fine. I'll be fine, don't worry about it. I'm not creating dust, that's the thing. You see all of this, these are big chunks that I've cut off of this model. The scraping that I do isn't really doing anything, and I'm not sanding anything at all. It's all chunky stuff. It's far too heavy for my breath to suck it up from the model before it ends up on the floor. Alexis, I am your father. Yeah. No, yeah. The problem is if I had a mask on, you just couldn't understand me. So, but it's fine. That's why I'm not sanding anything. I've got no sandpaper here. And I'm not using a Dremel or anything. Well, I don't even own a Dremel. It's all cutting off, and it's all falling to the deck before it can do anything. If it was me doing this, you'd have broken some parts off by now. Well, you see, Tim. That's why I'm the pro. I hate saying that, but yeah. You'd not even have bought it. Well, there we go, you see. I'm buying these things so you don't have to as well. And you get to see the model being built, you get to see it being painted, and so you don't have to. Although I'm fairly certain that there are some Space Wolf models out there that you would end up wanting to buy. Good job on not breaking the model. Well, thank you very much. It is alright. So we got 3 parts done, and then we just got the main body of Seth to do. And then most of the time you get halfway through painting and realise that you forgot to chop something off. And it stands out like a sore thumb once you find it. And you can't unsee it. Or what's even worse is you show the model off to somebody, go, look what I did, and they go, you forgot something. And then you go home and you can't do anything but look at it. And you're like, how did I miss that? Right. So most of the thing is all these chunks, these kind of runoffs, and they're there to make sure that the resin fills all of the tiny little holes and nooks and crannies of the model. But they they don't have to get in the way, and some of them can be so darn small you don't even know that they're there. And then all of a sudden, once you start painting the model, and then you realise them all, and you're like, oh, how did I miss that? And some of it's flashing like that. Yeah. There we go. So, do we have any more ideas for bases yet? Or are we going to just stick with, put him on some rocks and throw a ton of blood all over it? Those models are fantastic. Which models are they? Maybe, but I will do what Matt Holden did for me and try to kit bash etc. the character. He kit bashed my Ragnar. Oh, right, fair enough. Nah, actually, you know what? To be fair, I did that with my Dante. But I absolutely hate that model. It's an ugly looking model. Even the fact that it's in Finecast is nothing to do with it. I can't stand that model, so I kit bash that. And I have a feeling there's quite a bit of lag today because of whatever reason. So it seems that I'm getting a bit lost in the conversation. What is the time? It's 7:30. Stop cutting around all of these gates. I don't know what they're called. They're not flashing because they're not. It's not the bits that missed. I think they're run-ons. They're absolutely everywhere. They make a right mess. Is the war bike dry? Yes. Yeah, we'll get on with that in just a minute. Are your models on your Facebook? Old school, flock it. I do have a lot of flock actually, but I'm not a fan of the flock look, to be honest. I don't mind. I would like to build a board at some point with some flock and stuff. Flock's got his place, but I'm not a fan of it. I did put a picture of it as I've only had the one. I'll send it in the bases chat. Oh yeah, feel free, yeah, just pop that on there. And that gives me a nice little point to point out that if you are a Patreon, we do have a patron only Facebook chat group where we can have discussions about the channel, discussions about videos coming up, get all sorts of insight, and just generally have a chat. You'll find the Patreon link in the description of the video, or just for the hell of it, I'll pop it in the chat too, where you'll find all my other social media as well. Get rid of these god-awful things going right the way up his shoes, because that makes perfect sense. have to actually cut the tread back into the shoe, because you've had to cut the tread off to get rid of all of the stuff that you don't need. Right on the front of his leg. Look at that. Jeez. Oh my goodness gracious me. Right. I think that's that done. So let's have a look here. See how this bad boy goes together. Let's grab the good old blue tack and let's see how this guy goes together. Yeah, it's a bit too much. Let's pop a little bit on his arm, a little bit on his back. A little bit on the other arm. Nope, too much. The bit on his back fell off. That's helpful. And then there's a little bit to go on his hand on the sword. Just here. Let's see if we can get this thing to go together. This will also help me decide how I'm going to paint him. When do I finish? I usually aim for around about an 8 o'clock finish, but it depends on how well the show's going and whether people are still interested, or perhaps there's questions in the chat that need answering. Well, this is interesting. His arm doesn't seem to want to fit. So that goes on there. This comes across. This is a good start, and the model won't even go together. Right. So it looks like I might have to figure out what's going on there. Now that goes like that because it's got clean off the glue, off the blue tack. Here we go. Right, so that goes on like that. It's got a bit of movement in there as well, which is helpful. Goodness gracious, this is terrible. His arm wants to be there. That's how that goes. His hand, on the other hand, doesn't fit. his hand, I don't know if you, oh, I've been doing this off of camera, but if you can notice, his arm doesn't seem to want to fit in there. It looks like I'm going to need to, when I'm finished this stream, I'm going to have to heat that up and bend it until it reaches his hand and bend it into shape. Because look at how far I have to bend that just for it to reach. I'm virtually bending that. It's dreadful. Alright. But on the whole, let's have a gander. So we're going to hold that there. Yeah. He is definitely going to give me a headache getting this guy into place. I'm not a fan of resin. Unfortunately, there are some models that only come in resin. And my theory is he's in old armour. He's not a Primaris. In fact, Gabriel Seth doesn't like Primaris Marines, and so he is definitely not going to want to become a Primaris Marine. So that's that. Right, I'm going to mess around with bending this into shape when I'm not on stream, so I'm going to have to get the old hairdryer out, get it all glued up and ready to go. I think once I'm happy that it's going to glue together nicely, he is definitely going to need to be a sub-assembly job. I might be able to glue his offhand on without too much bother to the rest of the model. So that's that ready to go. We're going to play around with that, and we do still need to figure out exactly what style base we got. I think the front runner at the minute is something like this. But any other suggestions, feel free to throw them down in the comments. And while we do this, we will finally bring in the attack bike and we'll get this bad boy finished. And to finish it, we're going to need some Lamia medium, or in my case a 250ml bottle of matte medium, which also the lid doesn't want to come off, which is a nightmare. God dear. Right, have to do it the old fashioned way into the palette, which will dollop on the palette there. And then this on top of the gloss medium is nice and simply, if I didn't ruin the brush by not cleaning it out properly, we'll get some of this matte medium, which, as some of you may know, is purely just paint without any pigment, so it's got no colour to it. And this is why I make sure I do the entire surface, is because I don't want to keep layering up the matte medium over the gloss, so I paint the entire surface that is done. See, the thing is with the cracked earth effect is that I don't really feel that it does, it's not a very difficult way of doing it. There's not really a lot I could do with him, and also my blood angels are on desert cracked earth bases, and even though it would make him fit nicely with them, I also feel that I want him to be a bit separate, because he's not a model that I'll be playing with. It's more of a, it will be sat on a surface not really doing a lot. So I want to kind of do something special with it. You know, put some real effort into the way that he looks. Clean that down, and then I want to make sure that I've got rid of that blue tack from the seat of this guy. Make sure I've got none left under there. Right, let's get some glue. Have I picked up the wrong one? Yeah, I did. I picked up the wrong one. That's almost empty. Not quite empty yet though, so that's fine. Let's get a little touch of glue on that there. And hook it underneath the heavy bolt gun and pop him into place just there. Close enough. There we go. Come on, spin you around a little bit, because there we are. Hook that into there. There we go. And then finally, let's find my other glue, which is here. Put a little dollop of glue there. Just a touch in each of his hands. Which I'm doing completely off camera because I've changed where I put the camera today. Just trying to make a little bit of space. There we are. And pop him in there. Scraping along there again. I didn't sort that out in the end. I'll just be clever about where I take a picture from. There we go. Pop him into place there. And there we go. So we're still waiting for the matte medium, and we might need a couple of coats for that, so at the minute, but I like to think that that's a nice finished model. There we go. I'm pretty chuffed with that. We'll throw some more matte medium down on those in just a few moments when that's kind of getting there. So, yeah. Well, considering I'm going to be doing Gabriel Seth as a sub-assembly, I don't really need to worry about what base he's doing now, because I could construct the base for him next week on the stream, where we could do something like an industrial style base for him. I don't think I have any of those available to me at the moment. Yes, I do I? There we go. Look at this. Hang on, these are bases that I've done. Whoops, wrong one. Would help if I did the right one. You watch, I'm going to crash my computer for doing that now. We've got an industrial style base going on there for an old Deathwatch model that I did. So there's an idea. What other bases have I done? I've done Cracked Earth, and I do that all the time. But we've got some industrial style bases, we've got some rock bases. You go way back onto my Instagram. You'll see there's videos, not videos, sorry, pictures of bases that I did a long time ago. I did all sorts of bases back then, because like I've said before, that was the original plan for my business, was a bases business. I was going to sell pre-painted bases to people that you could pin your models to. So what we could do, we could give it a week. Maybe we could, maybe I'll open it up to a Facebook post, perhaps. Maybe I'll put a poll on the page. Maybe I could do that on the Facebook page, and you could all throw in your suggestions, or possibly vote on ideas that you've got. I could do that. But what's the time? It's 7:45. So what I'm going to do now, I mean, we've finished this guy. We'll throw some more, because that matte medium has dried a bit now. So I'm going to throw a bit more matte medium down on this. I always feel a little bit anticlimactic when I finish one of the models on here, because there's not really, I don't have the ability to kind of showcase it off on stream. It's not until after I've finished and I can set up the photo studio, well, photo booth, and do a really nice backdrop and really get things looking nice, like I did with the Astra Militarum models I did earlier on today, which I think you're in the chat, or you were, the client who's there for. He's quite happy with those. So that'll be interesting to get a picture of this attack bike nicely done. So what I'll be doing with Gabriel Seth between the shows, of course, is, like I said, I need to wash the model, and I'll throw that in the ultrasonic cleaner. Can't do that on stream because I can't do anything else with it until it's dry. So I could wash it, bring it out, it'll be soaking wet, I can't do anything with it. So that's a bit of a pain in the bum. And it's a shame. Maybe I need to do something about some sort of set up some sort of showcasey type area, but that again, that'll be with the new computer, I reckon, which is there. As you see, that has gone up a little bit since last week, since last show. Actually, I've done a bit of calculations and checked various accounts that, you know, the business use, and so we've popped a few more quid in there with my Patreons. They're all helping out, which is brilliant, and various commissions all help with that at the same time. So we'll keep an eye on that. Do I have an ultrasonic cleaner? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, and I need to get another one because I melted my one. It still works, but I left methylated spirits in it and it melted the acrylic lid. So yeah, we'll forget about that. Yeah, I've got an ultrasonic cleaner in there and he'll go in there. I pressed enter and it said I was going in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a bit of a lag today. I really think there's yeah, I'm not sure how much of a lag there is. In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do is actually the chat is almost instantaneous. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to press enter here at the same time as I say the word lag, right, after a countdown, and I would be interested for you guys to count from the word lag to where, so when the word lag appears, it's not going to work because you're going to hear me say it afterwards, but anyway, so 3, 2, 1, lag, right? So I've pressed enter, I've put the lag in there, and yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Now obviously, you know, you guys would have seen the word lag question mark appear and don't know what I'm talking about until now, and then you'll know, which is in the future for me, but the past for you. Wow, that's gonna give me a headache just thinking about it. Yeah. There is a way that I can set up, I can tell this to have low latency or something, which apparently is good for instantaneous communication, which is good, but apparently I think the video quality will suffer for that, which is not too bad for this screen, but when I go onto the big screen, when you can see, you know, the big screen, if the quality is rubbish there, I mean, it looks good on my computer screen, but you know, I don't even know how bad that came through. Was that actually about the same time? Do it again. Okay. Okay, I'll do it again. So I will do this and I will say 3, 2, 1, lag. Alright, press enter at the same time. No, it didn't. It didn't work because I wasn't typing. 3, 2, 1, lag. There we go. And I pressed enter at the same time. And yeah, and now the chat is just going to be full of the word lag, which is brilliant. Oh, try live shows, eh? They're brilliant. They're fun, aren't they? I don't know. What do you think? Oh. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. About 30 seconds. Wow. Okay. Lag. Yeah, okay. Alright. So that 30 seconds, okay, so it's not too bad, but actually, to be fair, 30 seconds when you're in a conversation can be quite a bit of a stretch. But anyway, so at least we know it's about 30 seconds, and like I said, I could bring that down apparently, but the video quality could suffer for it. Perhaps that's worth a test. I mean, the next show's on Monday, so you counted about 20 seconds from the first one. Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah, it's a bit of a lag, which is a pain, but what can you do? So now, how's this bad boy looking? It's coming along actually. Let's bring this in. I mean, the matte medium hasn't completely dried yet, but you can kind of see now that they now look properly painted. Now I'll get decent pictures of this at some point. Well, once I've finished streaming, actually, I'll get some decent pictures of this. Hiding the scratches on his leg down there, because yeah, I didn't fix that in the end. Video quality over lag speed. I think that is exactly where I need to keep the priority, because at the end of the day, the videos about the painting or the streams about the painting and the models. So no, I agree with you there. I might end up putting this on a base at some point, but on the whole, they look pretty good. And like I said, yeah, I'll clean Gabriel Seth off during the show, during the week. I'll get that painted up and do that. You're off, Tim. All right, fair enough. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. And to be fair, I don't think I'm going to be hanging around for much more either. There's not really a lot I could do here. And I'm going to be doing I'll do a poll on the page, I think, on the Facebook page, which is in the description, and it also pops up in the chat as well. But yeah, I'm gonna do a poll, see what people think about the base idea, because it would be nice to put them on a nice base, and I do like a bit of audience participation. You know, you're in the chat, but I do like to make sure you guys are getting to see what you want to see. So if you want to try and really push my push the envelope out there and push my skills, then this is your chance to actually get involved in that and stitch me up. But yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Ah, you just caught me at the end again. Well, Game of Viking, welcome along. Yeah, 6:30 I start, and I tend to aim for about 8 o'clock each night. So yeah, you caught me at the end again. I'm just rounding off, just saying, you know, yeah, keep an eye on the Facebook. Just keep an eye on the Facebook page for the poll, because you guys, you know, you could stitch me up and find something really, really difficult, or perhaps you've got an idea for a base that you'd really like to see live on stream. I do have plenty of base ideas coming in video form. Like I said, it's so much easier to record the videos than it is to edit them and get them up online, so that's the biggest issue. But I've got plenty of things coming, so keep your eyes out for there. Other than that, I think there's not really much else to do, really. I'll get some pictures of this guy and we'll get him posted up on Instagram, and you'll see that on Facebook and Twitter. I think, well, more to the point, on Twitter you'll get a link to the picture if that's what you do. But yeah, we'll get pictures of him done in just a few minutes. I'll pop him over that shoulder there. I mean, just about to see, I've already got a little bit of a scene set up for the Astra Militarum that I did earlier on today. So, yeah, I'll use the same bit. You know, just move things around so it doesn't look the same. Yeah, other than that, guys, thank you very much for joining me. You're very welcome, Wargamer Viking. Thank you very much for joining in anyway. I enjoy these, and I'll be back again on Monday. Feel free, you can add your name to the list here if you want to go and check out my Patreon link below. Feel free, if you wish. You can check out all my other social media. Keep up to date when I'm not live on all of my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that sort of stuff. It's all in the links, and in the chat you'll also find when I'm going to be live. All of my shows during the week, and then also in the chat I may as well pop in all of the links as well, which you can follow any way you want. So yeah, catch you later, Wargame Viking. Thank you for Alexi, Tim, Wayne, and I think I had a couple of other people popping in. Dale popped in while we were here. Thank you very much for joining me on this one. It's been great, and I'll be back again on Monday for Conquest, which I have a Conquest magazine to open, and I do for the next 3 more weeks, which is going to be brilliant. So yeah, I'll be interested to see you all there at 6:30. Yeah, I did just type it in there. So alright, anyway, I'm rattling on. So thank you all for watching this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Alright, see you later.